love lives here.
Here at Centers for Spiritual Living, as I mentioned, we're working with the theme of living everyday wonder, and the theme for this month is play, and we're going to dive into that in a moment. But we are talking about laughter. We're talking about a laugh a day today. But let's start, as we always do, with our focus statement, shall we? And let's do it with some L's. Let's do it with life. Let's do it with laughter. Let's do it with love. Let's do it with, what are the other L's? Lusciousness. Ooh. Liveliness. What else? Laughter. Huh? Liberated. All right. Sounds good. You ready? Here we go. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Yes, if we're going to do it with laughter, let's do it with laughter, shall we? All right. So, and it's serious, but at the same time, we get to lighten up. Oh, that was a word that we should have used, right? Lightness, lighten up. Oh my gosh. Ernest Holmes says in our Declaration of Principles, right there, the Declaration of Principles, that we believe in a universal spirit, which we call God. We believe in a universal spirit, which operates through a universal mind, which we know is to be the law of God. And we know that this creative mind is surrounding us, that we are bathed in it, and that it is responsive to the impress of our thoughts. This creative mind, this creative law, is responsive to the impress of our thoughts, and that we believe, right, that we believe that we can use the power of this mind to heal the sick and to change conditions. This is what we believe at Centers for Spiritual Living, that we can use the power of the mind to heal the sick, whether the sick is somebody else or ourselves, to heal. We can use the power of the mind to heal, and we can use the power of the mind to change conditions. So, that being said, it is through the activation of joy, through laughter and play, that we engage the mind in healing and wholeness. You with me? All right, good. So when we talk about, here at Centers for Spiritual Living, we've long known that there's a mind-body connection, right? There's a spirit-mind-body connection. Okay, right? We've known this for a long time, and science is catching up to us. So what we've done, how science of mind, how science and spirituality, science of mind and spirituality, how it got started, how new thought got started, is it got started in what was called the mind cure movement, meaning that using the power of the mind, the power of thought, that we could heal our physical being, that we could heal our mental being, we could heal our psychological being, our emotional being, that we could heal. This is how it got started. So we know that we can use the power of the mind, we can use the power of the creative process to heal ourselves, to reveal our wholeness, because as Ernest Holmes says, there's nothing to be healed, only the truth to be revealed. And what we know is that spirit, God, truth is love, truth is joy. This is the true nature of our being. So we have the power, my beloveds, we have the power to practice our wholeness, to reveal our wholeness through the power of the mind and through the power of joy. And that means through the power of laughter. That means through the power of fun. That means through the power of imagination, of having a good time. This is how we can reveal our wholeness. Norman Cousins, he eventually went on to UCLA, but Norman Cousins, many years ago, was diagnosed with a very rare form of autoimmune disease, and he was given only a few months to live. And he decided that he wasn't going to take that lying down. He wasn't going to just accept that diagnosis. And so he began a practice of laughing every day for 15 minutes. And 6 months later, he's feeling a lot better. He's doing a lot better. And he realizes there's something here in the power of laughter. So he joins UCLA and becomes part of the research team, researching the benefits of laughter on health and wholeness, because we know that that's got to be true, right? Laughter is the best medicine. We've heard it years and years. Laughter is the best medicine. He went about trying to prove it. And guess what? He lived another 27 years after this diagnosis. Now, I'm sure he did other things too, but a huge part of his practice was daily laughter, was laughing. You know, we live in such a stressful time, but who hasn't lived in a stressful time? I'm sure it was stressful for the people running away from saber-toothed tigers. You know, I'm sure it was stressful for people living in, walled cities. I'm sure it was stressful for the shepherds and the farmers. We all live in stressful times. How those stresses shift and change is something. And nowadays, we're no longer just running away from the saber-toothed tigers or the grizzly bears. Nowadays, we activate those same stress hormones. We activate that same feeling over a cell phone bill or over gas prices or over something that we see on TV or over a look, right? All of a sudden, those stress hormones start flooding, and we enter into this constant heightened state of fight or flight. Right? We enter into that limbic system, that reptilian part of our brain that is trying to keep us safe. But we forget that there really isn't a threat. It's now become a perceived threat because we can think these things. We have this ability to think these things. And so it's not necessarily a real threat to our safety, to our well-being, but it's perceived as a threat. And so we get into this feedback loop of stress where it's constant adrenaline and cortisol dumping into our bodies. And when there's constant adrenaline and cortisol dumping into your body, then the body tends to break down. Systems don't operate as well as they used to. All of a sudden, there's aches and pains and cricks and twists and difficulty and challenges, right? Because we know that our brains, our thoughts, have an impact on our physicality. And so if we are constantly worrying, we're worrying ourselves sick. That's a phrase we hear too. Don't worry yourself sick. You're going to worry yourself to death over that. Don't worry yourself sick. Don't worry yourself to death over that. Huh? And then conversely, we hear that laughter is the best medicine. All right, so laughter is the best medicine. Okay, so if I get into this pain cycle, then the pain cycle causes me more stress, and then when I get more stress, guess what happens? There's more pain, right? You see how the loop goes. So how do we interrupt the loop? We can interrupt the loop by changing the thought pattern, by changing the behavioral pattern, and looking at what the thoughts are, looking at what the behaviors are, and begin to make that shift. And one of the ways of doing that is through laughter. Through laughter. Now you're saying, life is rough, life is tough. There's not much to laugh about right now. It feels wrong to laugh. It feels wrong to play. It feels shameful almost. How dare I laugh? How dare I have a good time in the midst of everything that is happening in the world? Well, that's just over here. More pain, more shame, more going around in the washing machine or the dryer, right? Tumble, 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 tumble. What good are you over here in changing the world over there or changing the world out here? What good are you over here if we're just tumble, tumble, tumble? At some point, we have to open the door on the dryer, right? Or it stops and it buzzes, bing, right? Or ours now sings. It's very odd. We have this new Samsung that sings this little song. I'm like, okay, let's dance to the laundry. I mean, it's just like, used to be, right? But what we can do is we can interrupt laughter. But you're saying, but there's not that much to laugh about. Or, I don't really have a sense of humor. I don't find very many things funny. Comedians don't do it for me. Books don't do it for me. Comic strips don't do it for me. I don't find very much funny. And yet we're on our cell phones and somebody says something and we go, lol. Or we send the little emoji with a little crying tears, right? Of the laughter emoji. So we're finding something funny, but are we really finding it that funny? Well, guess what? The brain, just like we do with visualization, when we're visualizing something and we're imagining it and we're visualizing it, and then we are aligning ourselves with it through the power of visualization, our brain recognizes the visualization and the actual thing as to being the same thing. We can also do the same thing with laughter. We don't have to have something funny or have some external source of laughter, some external source of funny to make us laugh. We can do it all on our own. And our brain receives it when we simulate laughter. Our brain actually receives it as laughter. Our brain actually receives it as though we were doing it naturally, because the brain doesn't make any distinction. And so when we start laughing, then guess what happens with the chemistry in our body? The cortisol levels go down. The adrenaline level goes down. And the dopamine levels start to go up. Dopamine gives us clarity. It helps us learn. It helps us pay attention. And it gives us motivation. Our oxytocin levels go up. Oxytocin is that chemical in our brain that is the love chemical. It's the cuddle chemical. It's the chemical of empathy. It's the chemical of compassion. It's the chemical of relatedness and interconnectedness. It's that chemical when you look at your puppy dog in the eyes and you're just like, oh, my puppy. Oh. It's that chemical. So laughter helps the oxytocin. It helps raise that connection chemical that allows us to be connected closer with one another. And then the laughter also increases our endorphins. Our endorphins are our pleasure chemicals. Our endorphins are also our pain reducers, our natural pain reducers. So when we laugh, the studies show that when we laugh, we can actually reduce pain by about 15%. 15%. For some folks, 15% pain reduction is a huge reduction in pain. 15% if we laugh. So we don't have to have anything to laugh at. We just have to laugh. Good, I'm so glad you're ready and primed. This is exciting. Some other benefits before we move on here, some other benefits of laughter that I do want to share with you is it increases your immune function, it decreases stress, it increases your cardiovascular health, it decreases anxiety, it increases your sense of safety, increases your mood, increases lymphatic lymph flow, increases your blood flow, decreases your limbic system, your fight or flight, decreases your heart rate and blood pressure, decreases muscle tension, increases clarity and creativity and relatedness, increases your intake of oxygen, and increases your growth hormone, just to name a few things that laughter can do. Isn't that great? And I've been reading as I've been doing research for this. So laughter, like really good belly laughter, just a couple of minutes of that is the same as 100 crunches. Whoo! We can get rock hard abs just by laughing. That's awesome. Bonus extra, right? All right. So, are we going to play? We're in the month of play. We're going to play. And so all you folks there at home, I encourage you to play with us as well. All right. So, we're going to use our imagination. We're going to use a little playfulness. We're going to use a little creativity. Are we good? All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all that shame and judgment and you shouldn't be doing this and why are you laughing at you, right? We're going to get rid of all that, okay? You ready? All right, so let's brush it off our shoulders. Let's brush it off. Get that judgment off. Come on. Get it off. Get it out there. Don't fling it on anybody else, but just get it out there. Right? All right. So let's get some energy flowing. Let's get some blood flowing. So let's take our hands, open them real wide, and we're going to clap. And now we're going to change the beat. So we're going to 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. 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 All right. Yay. Okay, good. Feel your hands tingling a little bit. Feel the energy and the blood moving just a little bit. Shake it like a dog. All right. All right. So, laughter. You know, when I first entered a class, when I first took foundations, our teacher was teaching us about spiritual mind treatment. I'm like, spiritual mind treatment? I really don't like that word, spiritual mind treatment, or that phrase, spiritual mind treatment. I much prefer affirmative prayer because, I don't know, Reverend Doug, spiritual mind treatment sounds a lot like you're going to do something to my brain, like you're going to brainwash me. And he goes, well, could your brain use a little washing? Meaning, you know, could we be changing the way we're thinking? Could we be changing the way we're approaching life? Could we be changing what we're thinking about? Maybe we could clean up our thoughts a little bit. I was like, oh, okay. So the first exercise we're going to do is we're going to do the brainwash. You ready? All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to reach up. Remember, we're playing. We're going to reach up and we're going to unzip our head here, but we're going to make a noise as we do it. Ready? Ready? Here we go. All right. Now let's open it up. Let's reach in, grab your brain. All right. See the brain right there? See it right there in front of you? See it? All right. Get your scrubby. Ready? Here we go. We're going to laugh as we're doing it. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. All right. Feel the breath? Feel how it's moving? All right, so we scrubbed our brain pretty good, but you know, got to get in the nooks and crannies, so we got to floss this sucker. All right, here we go. So we're going to take our floss, we're going to stretch it out. All right, put the floss over your head, and let's floss. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. You feeling it? How are you feeling? Feeling your abs a little bit? I'm feeling mine. Notice how things are changing in your physical body, your physical structure? Yeah. So we've been talking about practical situations, about practical life, or about using these tools, practical living, right? That's part of the whole idea of living everyday wonder, that we're living this in our everyday, that we're having a good time, that we're approaching life with curiosity and with wonder. And so we have these tools that we've been sharing about being able to do these daily in our regular practice, right? All right, so we can also practice laughing under stressful situations. We live in Southern California. We know what the freeways are like, right? So the next one we're going to do is we're going to be stuck in traffic. Ready? Because we've all been there. So hands at 10 and 2. Like we ever hold on to the steering wheel at 10 and 2, but hands at 10 and 2. And we're stuck in traffic on the 91. Or yet the 60. That's the one that's always like, Anyway, we're stuck in traffic. All right, here we go. Ready? No, look at the driver next to you. And look at the driver on the other side. Ho, ho, ha, 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 ho, ho, ha, ha. Now, when you do that in traffic, make sure your foot's on the brake or you're in park. Because it might not be so funny if your foot's not on the brake. So this week, beloveds, anytime you are experiencing a little bit of stress, or anytime you're just wanting fresh breath or breath of fresh air, choose a moment in the day and just begin laughing. You saw how we just began laughing. So we've been laughing for about 5 minutes. So you've burned about 50 calories. Hallelujah. Right? But notice your body. Notice what's happened in your body. Notice the feeling in your body if you really let yourself go. Notice, wow, there's more circulation happening in my body. My breathing has shifted in a different way. And how am I feeling? Feeling a little bit lighter. Maybe a little bit more clarity. Because not only does the dopamine give us more clarity, the oxygen gives us more clarity as well, because we have now bathed our whole system in oxygen. So there's more clarity, there's more acuity, right? So now that we've moved into this space, now when we enter into observing what is going on in the world, the tragedies that are going on in the world, we're now entering into this space from a much more balanced place, a much healthier space. And now when we enter into what is happening for us and for those around the globe, we can enter into it with clarity, with joy, with equanimity, with poise, with compassion, with love that might not have been there before. We can enter into it much freer, much more available to be fully present. Because when we're laughing like what we were laughing, the way we were laughing, we are 100% fully in the moment. Because you can't laugh like the way we were laughing and be anywhere else. And where do we meet the divine, beloveds? The only place we meet the divine is where? In the moment, in the now moment, in this moment. So laughter is a direct connection with an experience of the divine. So if you came in here looking for a divine, holy experience, if you came in here looking for a numinous experience, a direct revelation from God, you got it. Whether you know it or not, you got it. You experienced it. God is joy. God is love. God is peace and harmony and poise. And so we can then now enter into a time of conscious union with the divine. So I invite our practitioners to please stand and surround the sanctuary, and our core council members to do the same, to join them. We can enter into this time of additional spiritual practice, because laughter is spiritual practice. We can enter into a time of additional spiritual practice, maybe a more formalized spiritual practice, from a place of light, from a place of love, from a place of deep connection. And so I recognize that that is just power, this one presence. It is the very who of who I am. I am deeply connected to it, through it, and it as me. That right where I am, the joy of spirit is, the presence of spirit is, and it expresses joyfully, hopefully, gloriously in wholeness and perfection through and as me, through and as my life, through and as my body temple. My body temple is the temple of the divine, the temple of spirit, the temple of joy, the temple of love, the temple of peace. And so I recognize that there is a perfect circulation happening through my body right now. There's a perfect flow, that I am in divine harmony, that everything is unfolding under grace and in perfect ways and in divine right order and divine right action, because there is no other way for it to express, for it to show up, for it to demonstrate, for it to manifest, except through and as me. And so I open to a greater yet to be. I open to my greatness, my wholeness, my fullness of life, and I recognize that I am that I am. Oh, and it feels so good and so powerful, and I joyously celebrate and splash in this good. And as I splash in this good, the splashing overflows and it gets other people wet too, just like Gallagher smashing a watermelon. And it's fun. And the joy overflows. The joy touches and spreads. The love, it spreads and expands. And so I graciously and gratefully celebrate being in the splash zone of life, allowing the laughter, the fun, the joy to wash over me. I bathe in it. Oh, and how good it feels. And how good it feels to be in a community with like-minded people, with other people expressing and experiencing and splashing their joy all over too. How wonderful it is, how fun it is to experience this light-heartedness. Oh. And I know that that which I am experiencing now, because I am fully present with it, I have this experience of it, this full sensation of it, that it continues to grow, that it continues to manifest, that it continues to expand. Because that which I focus my attention on, when I focus the attention on joy, when I focus the attention on love, when I focus my attention on peace, and I allow myself to experience it, I experience more of it. And those around me experience more of it as well. So I know the laugh a day, laughter is the best medicine. And so I collectively, with the beloveds gathered here this day, we bring our healing presence of laughter. We bring our healing presence of love to anywhere in the world that is calling out and crying out for laughter, that's crying out for joy, that's crying out for peace. We bring this together. We move it forward and we share it. How grateful I am to know this. How grateful I am to be the conduit of mirth, the conduit of joy. And I release this word now, knowing it is done, knowing that it is so, with great gratitude and a smile upon my face. I let it be. And so it is.
Love